thinking about running a clothes, which is great if you're thinking about running a clothes swap for the first time and needed a bit of seed funding to get going to try or to just try it out. We provide free training to groups, anything from PAT testing to first aid to safeguarding to bike repair, all sorts. And we support groups to grow and thrive with organisational support. We also have a monitoring and evaluation tool, an exciting new version of which is about to launch, which supports groups to measure and demonstrate their impact. And everything that we do is guided by our members. We're member-led in our approach entirely, and so really pleased to see some of you here tonight. As many of you know and appreciate, the fashion industry is one of the most polluting industries on the planet. It's built on overproduction, exploitation, and the idea that clothes are disposable. Fast fashion trains people to buy more, wear less, and throw away without thinking about the environmental damage or the human cost behind every garment. It's made clothing cheaper and more disposable than ever, but it also comes with heavy ecological and human costs. I mean, I've heard the phrase from people sometimes saying, I wouldn't ever rewear, which is just mind-blowing to me. From water use and pollution to carbon emissions and textile waste, stretching all the way to people working for poverty wages in unsafe conditions with limited labour rights and constant pressure to meet unrealistic production targets. And so one of the simplest and most joyful ways to push back against this is by keeping our clothes in use for longer. And a clothes swap does exactly that. It's a chance to refresh your wardrobe without buying anything new, to share stories through clothes, and to rediscover the fun of style without the pressure to consume. And so we're going to look at how to run a successful clothes shop with people who've been there and done that. We're going to hear from 4 different speakers who are involved in groups that are already doing it. So I just want to say a really big thank you right at the start to all our speakers. We massively appreciate you taking the time out of your day to share your knowledge and expertise. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you all. We're going to explore how to run a clothes swap that isn't just functional, but it actually builds community, sparks conversation, and makes sustainable choice feel exciting rather than restrictive. And it saves money too, which is always a bonus. We'll have lots of time for questions at the end, but can we just start with a quick round of intros? We have a really packed agenda tonight, so if everybody could keep it to under 30 seconds, that would be really appreciated. So if you just start with your name, any group that you're a part of, and your favourite or most memorable item of clothing from a clothes swap or charity shop. So whilst you're having a little think about that, I'll do me. So I'm Ginny Uppington, I'm a project lead at CAG Somerset, and my favourite item was a hat that I got, and I love it. And it's been borrowed by lots of people. It fits everybody. It looks great on anybody. And it's just a fab item. So I'm going to start at the top of my screen with Helen Vines.
Hi, so I'm Helen Vines. I'm the project lead for CAG Devon. And I've got so many to choose from, but I'm going to go with a pair of silver Birkenstock sandals that I picked up at a clothes swap, which I love, love, love. Although they're the narrow fit and my feet are quite wide, but you know, I persevere. Because they're fabulous. So I'm going to go with almost my namesake, Helena.
Hello, I'm Helena Power. I'm the community outreach worker at Wellington Methodist Church for the Tiverton and Wellington circuit. I don't mind how you pronounce my name, it doesn't matter at all. Because our clothes that come through our swap are for the 0 to 5 age range, I will say I haven't actually worn any myself. However, the best thing I think we've ever had come through was a hand-knitted frog onesie, which went immediately to someone who wanted to dress their child for book day.
Oh, lovely. Do you want to nominate someone?
Lucy's next to me on the screen.
Hi everyone, I'm from Bradninch, Sustainable Bradninch. I think my favourite item is always the last one that I got. So went to a clothes swap in Totnes about a week and a half ago, and I've got some yellow trousers that I'm really looking forward to wearing.
Fab, do you want to nominate someone?
Yeah, Laura.
Hello everyone, my name's Laura Buchanan. I'm partnerships lead at CAG Devon, and my favourite thing I got from a clothes shop is the dress that I'm wearing today. It's very bright and colourful, and it's got tigers and Indian patterns all over it. And I wore it in the office today and had lots of compliments, which was lovely. So I shall go to Zoe next.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm the climate officer for Exmouth Town Council. And my favourite thing is a purple mohair coat, which I picked up last year from a clothes swap in Abbots Kerswell. And it was brilliant because when I put my hands in the pocket, I pulled out a pair of spectacles, which actually turned out to be my friend's specs that she'd lost for absolutely ages. She'd handed in the coat without checking her pockets. So she was like, oh, my glasses, I've got them back. So yeah, we both lucked out that day. And who can I pass to Jennifer? Are you working all up and running now?
I seem to be. I will say that I can't actually see anybody else, so I won't be able to pass it on. But to introduce myself, I'm Jennifer. I'm the Reuse Project Officer. So clothes swaps is one of my remits. Favourite thing, I went to the Totnes swishing event with Lucy, and I have got this beautiful crane dress because cranes are my favourite birds. So I'm really pleased, and I can't wait for it to be a little bit warmer because it's still a bit too chilly for me, and then I'll be able to wear that. So I'd like to pass on to someone, but I'm afraid I can't see anybody.
Thanks, Jennifer. Should we pass on to Emma? You happy, Emma?
Hello, I am with Sustainable Hadley, and I'm also a project officer at CAG Devon. I haven't been to a clothes swap for 20 years plus, which is why I'm here. So I don't know if I've still got any items, but I do wear my pink charity shop jumper all the time, wool jumper all through the summer, probably not last summer. Yeah, so that's my standout item. And I will pass to Rachel.
Oh, I think Rachel's put in the chat that her sound's not working. Sorry.
Shall I pass to Nick and Claire?
Brilliant.
Hi there, we're Nick and Claire. We run Sustainable Chumley. We haven't yet done a clothes swap, which is why we're here this evening, because we'd like to. Favourite charity shop item rather than clothes swap. We went to an extremely smart London wedding this year for my nephew. I was really concerned about what I was going to wear because I haven't bought anything new in God knows how many years. I got a fabulous dress from a charity shop in Oakhampton. It cost me £3.75 and I got so many compliments of it. Nick is wearing his charity shop items as we speak. He has favourite shirts that come from charity shops that he barely takes off, to be fair.
I know. I like to wear things until they fall apart completely. And yeah, when I look like a tramp, then I know it's time maybe to find some other bits of clothing. Yeah.
And that's us. I'm not sure who to pass to because have we all.
Oh, try Molly.
Oh, Molly. Yeah.
Oh, Molly, you're on the other.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't wake up right. Hi, I'm part of the fundraising society for Exeter College. And my favourite, I've actually never been to a clothes swap, but I have an older sister, so I would say I swap most of my wardrobe with her. So I think my favourite thing that I've ever got from her is one of the dress, a blue dress, which she didn't fit her, but fits me perfectly. Yeah.
Fab, thanks. Do you want to nominate? Can you see? Are you on your phone? Can you see or not?
I'm sorry, I can't see anyone else.
No, don't worry. I'll go with Kate.
Hello, yes, I'm Kate Spooner. I'm from the Axel Climate Action Group. I've never done a clothes swap either, but I do buy quite a bit of secondhand clothes now. And I've got a summer skirt, which I bought probably 3 years ago now, and I live in it each summer. And I'm hoping it's going to make it through another summer of me wearing it lots. Is there anyone else to nominate? Or
I think Jessica.
Hi there. I'm Jessica. I come and volunteer within my church community. We're hoping to set up a children's clothes swap, and I do a lot of volunteering with children, children's and families group. So yeah, I can't think. I've never been to a clothes swap, which is why I'm interested. There's a lot going on in Exeter clothes swap wise, but I've never been to one. But I think this is boring. But the latest input, good thing that I found at a charity shop was a sort of 2-piece rain mac, nice warm winter coat in my favourite colour. So I was quite thrilled at that because it was less than £10. So
brilliant. Everyone loves a bargain.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome. Really nice to hear from you all. Yeah, well, it's now our turn to hear from everyone else who's done it and out there doing brilliant things. So, first of all, we're going to hear from Lucy Mottram.
Thanks. So I guess our clothes swapping starts about 7 years ago now, when we ran our first one in May 2019. In Bradninch, I'm told we run it a bit differently because we have a gin bar alongside our clothes swish. And this idea started, my friend Emma loves gin, and she had some friends who loved running bar, and they were trying to fundraise for a local charity. So it made a really sensible kind of collaboration. In our local Guildhall, there's a licensed bar, so you can use the bar, like the bar infrastructure, and you can put your own drinks behind the bar, and if you get an events license, run a bar. Yeah, what else? So we run it so that you bring 5 items that are wearable by someone else. So we put that on the ticket so that you know that that's what your clothes need to be worn by someone else. It's not just a way of getting rid of old holy clothes. We then, on entry, you get a free glass of Prosecco with your entry ticket, and we have been charging somewhere between £5 and £7 entry. And then when you enter, you also get like 5. We use raffle tickets, and it's just a numbered ticket, and that's how we kind of keep track of how many clothes come into the clothes swap, so we can count up at the end how many we've swapped. What else? Okay, so we arrive, and then there's between 7, so it starts at 7. Between 7 and 8, you bring clothes, put them on the rails, and we have sizing kind of spread out, so from 8s all the way up to 18 plus. And everyone's always really surprised that we have a huge range of sizes, so that's always really pleasing. So when the first hour is over, 8 o'clock comes, and people can go, and so people have already browsed, they've had a look, probably had a look at things that they like. We have a changing room up on the stage of our Guildhall as well. So when 8 o'clock comes, you can go and pick some items and go and try them on, and then swap them. So your 5 tickets, up to 5 tickets that you came with, that's what you swap. So you can take up to 5 items of clothing away if you've brought 5. Yeah, what else is there to say? There's always lovely gin. So over the last 6-7 years, it's changed a little bit, because we now have a kind of a more continuous arrangement with our school PTFA, who raise money by running the gin bar. The first one we ran in 2019 was so successful, they raised about £400 on the bar. Everyone loves the kind of fun, friendly atmosphere of them. We always get compliments. Everyone's had a really nice time. Lots of people come who've never been to a clothes swap before, and we regularly get somewhere between 50 and 80 people attending. I think our last one was a bit quieter, but yeah. What else? Is there anything I've missed out there? At the end of the day, we're left with some items of clothing. This one, the one we've just had, works really well, because we also ran it at the same time as a jumble trail around our town. So we were able to put the leftover clothes out outside our Guildhall for people to just take away, which meant that we didn't actually have to take anything to charity shops. But that's what we tend to do with the clothes that are left. We collect them up at the end of the time and put them out, take them either to our local charity shops, or if there's a few left after that, to our recycling centres. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I've got.
That's brilliant, Lucy. That's fantastic. I recognise that person too. That's lovely. Thanks ever so much. So next, we're going to hear from Helena Power.
Hello. Our swap is totally different from that. So we're based in Wellington Methodist Church, as you can see in the picture, and we're supported by the church because I'm a church worker, and we are supported by the church. That means that we don't have to pay for rent or hire of the premises. We've got a storeroom upstairs we can use, and so on. So that's really helpful. Our strapline on Facebook, which is formed by what people have told us that they think about, what they like about the swap, is share with your local community, be part of a growing project and spread the love. Because the people that come in, families with young children, they often say, we just want someone else to be able to use these things. We don't want to throw them away. We just want to share them. So that's really nice. And our swap is, I'm always running to keep up with it. We didn't start out with a plan of we will do it like this and organise it well. We just let it gather momentum. So we started just with a table, and we've got a huge amount coming and going. People tell each other about it locally. We publicise it on Facebook, and then locally through posters, places like the food bank, community places, and so on. Spread the word like that. So twice a month we convert the church into a swap, so we have to move all the chairs and everything. We've got 10 of those rails all around with all the sizes up to age 5, so we go from birth to age 5. Then we've got extra things like nappies and muslins and hats and shoes and sheets and feeding equipment. We prefer not to have large equipment turn up, but sometimes it does. I prefer it if we can put a photograph of that on our Facebook page and not have to store it. But sometimes things like, I don't know, baths and things turn up. So the way it works is that people are supposed to bring clean clothes that are in good order. That is not always the case. They come and hand it in at the door. So we have usually 2 volunteers at the swap when it's running. I'd say no, maybe usually 3. So we'd have 1 person on the door, 1 person quite often in a corner that we've got for feeding, changing, playing, and so on, and then someone else floating around. So the person on the door will ask you your name, just your Christian name, so that we know how to speak to people if we want to say something to them, where they're from, because it's really interesting to track how far people are coming for it, and what age they're looking for. It gives us an idea of how it's being used. So we write just that information down, and then we take their donation, which can be whatever they want, however much they want to bring. If they can't bring anything, it doesn't matter. I tell health professionals to send people along. We really want to give stuff to people who've got nothing to swap, but at the same time, we don't want to be open to people exploiting it. So we always say that you bring something. So we take their donation, we weigh it, and I log down the weight of it in kilos. This is something that we've started doing since we've been part of this group, because we didn't have any way of tracking what we were getting in before. And then the people just go around and pick up whatever they want, as much as they want, as much as they need. And they can stay, they often stay and they chat and they meet friends, and the social side of it is important. We try to be there for them, not just about the clothes, but there's so many stories of things going on in families which we hear. Obviously keep things confidential, but one of our team is a retired PFSA, parent and family support advisor, so she has ideas of where to signpost people to if things are tricky. On that right-hand picture, you can see our notice board. We've got all sorts of places to refer people to on that. Those 2 great big blue bins in front because we were getting flooded with plastic bags, carrier bags full of stuff. So we got 5 of those. This was all with a grant which we had last autumn from the Somerset Community Foundation, the Waste Not Somerset Fund. We needed to replace the original rails, which we got with a grant from our local town council because we'd worn them out. The rails you can see there are much stronger. And we bought all the plastic crates and then 5 of those blue tubs, the notice board and so on. We need everything on wheels for the sake of the volunteers. It has to be moved in and out of a lift and go up and down stairs, up and down to the storeroom. Where are we? Shall we have the next picture? Thank you. So on the left, you can see what our storeroom was like. You could hardly get in it. Because people bring as much as they like, we get a lot. So once we got the rails in, it was a lot better. When we bring them up and down, we can put them in our age order. Then if someone comes during the week who can't get to the swap normally and they can connect with me through work at another time, I can actually find things for them. But because we have so much surplus, because we try not to turn anything down, it goes in all sorts of different directions. So Baby Basics South Somerset, we take carloads across there. They provide baby baskets to families by referral through health visitors and so on. We send some to RAFT, Refugee Aid from Taunton, the Ukraine and Moldova collection, which also operates from the church. We send it to a church in Manchester that does a baby basket scheme. And I'm open to other suggestions. So if someone says, I know somewhere where they could do with some free children or baby clothes, then we can give them some. We can make up baskets for new families ourselves, but we don't hear so much from that because they usually go through the official channels. Shall we have the next one? Let's see. Yeah, thank you. So that our care for the environment, it runs throughout. It's not just only about the clothes being reused, but when we had all this new kit with the grant, it came with a massive amount of cardboard in the form of huge boxes and endless amounts of bubble wrap. So all the cardboard went to Transition Town Wellington, which I think is also one of your projects. So that's on the left is the 2 Anitas taking receipt of some of the cardboard, which they use for mulch outside. And then on the right-hand side, we've got Alison at the old brickwork shop near Wellington in Poole. And she's taking about a dozen huge rolls of bubble wrap, which came round some of the stuff we got. So we try to also think about reusing, recycling all through what we're doing. So that's roughly where we are. At the moment, I'm concentrating on getting the physical side of it organised so that the storage and the display and everything else is really sorted out. Then I need to focus on growing a team so that for sorting clothes behind the scenes and during the week that we've got a bigger team, and for moving it on to other places and so on. So there's always something to work on. I hope that's given a rough flavour. I'm sure I will have left out things that you want to know, so do ask me afterwards. But thank you.
That's absolutely brilliant, and it's such a brilliant total contrast. That's exactly the point. I just wanted to that it's in a church, but it's open to everybody, isn't it?
It's open to everybody, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And no money changes hands. We've had the odd person think they should pay us, but no money at all. The people provide the stuff, and the Methodist Church is very keen on community involvement. So they want to do this sort of thing and invite everybody in. You don't have to be a member of the church or anything like that.
Brilliant. Lovely. Thanks ever so much. That's great. Thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Really nice to hear all that. And next up is Laura.
Oh, thanks, Ginny. Just trying to move on the slide. Why is that not working? There we go. Hello everyone, my name's Laura Buchanan. I run a clothes swap in Kentisbeare. And my clothes swap journey actually started off when I was working at the University of Exeter. So before this job with CAG Devon, I worked at the university for about 7 years in a department with lots of women, and there was kind of informal clothes swapping going on. And I decided to set up a clothes swap in the office. This ran for several years and actually still runs now. I've left the university as well. So I put a couple of photos of what it looked like. So it was in kind of a busy work environment, a couple of rails and a table, which we expanded out to kind of books and unused gifts as well as clothes. And it was just a kind of really easy way to do a clothes swap with staff, just kind of having access to the space. And how I did it was that I kind of set up the space with a friend or colleague, and we just left it in place for a whole week. So it was kind of free for people to browse and use at their leisure. We weren't necessarily always there. It was just whoever kind of was working in the office that day could access it. And it was really successful and lots of people took part and it was really great. So I've got another picture here of an old colleague of mine with a lovely bright green coat. And because we kind of just left it in situ for a week and it was unmanned or unwomaned, it was really low effort to run. So all we had to do was set it up and promote it, send some emails around with some posters around the office as well. And then we just kind of let it do its thing. And it was really popular. And I think it was really great because it was in the office as you walked in, it engaged lots of people who would never normally go to a clothes swap, including some of the men, maybe kind of have a browse for some of their kids or for the menswear. And also because it was on the office, there was no venue hire costs. So it just kept everything really cheap to run. So we kind of did a system where we encouraged people to take roughly what you give, but often people didn't or forgot anything to do to donate. So we had a small charity collection, which we said that people could donate £1 or £2 if they didn't have anything they wanted to swap, but wanted to take something away. So that's kind of how my clothes journey, clothes swapping started. The only kind of cons to doing it like this was that all the items that were left at the end were taken home by me and I had to take them to charity shops, which was a bit of a faff. And occasionally people bought strange items. So one time somebody decided to bring a Hoover, pretty random. And another time someone bought a huge Christmas decoration that had songs and music and it was a bit mad, but they went. So someone wanted them, someone took them. So actually it didn't matter that they were really random items that we didn't really want at the swap. Somebody gave them a home. So that was great. So after running this for several years at the university and having kids at school, I was chatting to mums and telling them about clothes swaps and was quite a lot of interest in doing something in the community. So the first one I ran was actually a complete failure. I ran it in the school hall after school on a Friday at my local primary school, and nobody came. And I think that was because on a Friday night, parents don't want to hang around at school and expect their children to wait quietly in the corner while they browse clothes. They wanted to get away from that place and, enjoy their weekend. So that wasn't a big success, but wasn't deterred and kind of speaking to people, decided to run something on a Saturday morning would be better. So I started running clothes swaps at Kentisbeare Village Hall. You can see some pictures of what it looks like when nobody's there. How I run it is a kind of bring as many things as you like. So it's not like Lucy's where you've got 5 items. I let people bring lots and lots of things and it gets completely chocker in the village hall. And I try and collect items before the event. So I try and have a couple of drop-off points in the town or the village. People can donate over a few weeks. And I don't charge anyone to get in because I kind of want there to be as fewer barriers as possible to allow people to come, but we do accept donations to cover costs such as the village hall rental. And normally I find that kind of accepting donations works quite well and getting between £100 and £150 a time that we run a clothes swap, which is enough to cover our costs. And typically do them 10 till 12 on a Saturday morning. Sometimes people say, oh, that's not very long, 2 hours, but actually I find that's plenty of time. And actually people always come in the first hour because they want to find all the bargains and the goodies, and that last half an hour is actually empty. So I find that 2 hours is fine. And they don't kind of have any restrictions on how many things people can take away, encourage people to come and take as much as they like. But one thing I do ask is that people don't resell. We're all kind of volunteering our time, and people have donated some really great items. Obviously, there's no way of actually policing that, but that's something I just say so that people don't take advantage of people's really kind donations. So I've got a few more pictures of people actually browsing the things. So kind of attracting around about 100 people per time to these events. And one of the main challenges that I've had is what to do with the leftovers. So there were times when all of the leftovers coming back to my house, my partner was not happy. And I almost came to a point where I was not sure I could continue on that scale of things, with everything coming back to my house and me slowly distributing to various charity shops. But then I came across a charity called Cree2E, which I think made by the same people that Helena mentioned, who work with people in Ukraine and Moldova, and they now come and collect everything at the end of my clothes swap and take it down to Xmas, where I believe they have a sorting facility, and it goes over to Ukraine and Moldova. Sometimes I might take a bag to a charity shop if I have the time, but it was getting a lot when it was going all to charity shops locally. So that's what I'm doing now, and that seems to work well. So I've just got a few points of things which I think if you're thinking of setting up a clothes swap, I'd be considering. So kind of how are you going to get the donations? So I have various drop-off points, and then I also let people drop off the night before, and we try and set up on the Friday night for a Saturday morning. Try and encourage people to give donations in advance, so then you can set it all up nicely and you know roughly, okay, I've got lots of children's stuff, I'll make that area really big. Always people do bring donations in on the day, which is fine, but then I'm in a rush to kind of get them out on hangers and so they've got the most chance to get swapped. Again, thinking how you're going to display and sort items. So kind of thinking about what space you've got available, volunteer helpers. So I think typically when I'm doing that kind of close up in the village hall, I've probably got about 12 helpers. So that's kind of 5 or 6 the night before to help me set up, and another 5 or 6 on the day, doing teas and coffees and helping get items out. And I've also got some rails, which I kindly got from Recycle Devon from a grant. So I've got my own rails that I use for the clothes swaps, and that just really helps kind of give it a bit of more of a professional look when you can kind of sort things into size order and things. And then I also try and do a cafe element of clothes swaps to just add that social and give people a bit of time to chatter and enjoy some cake as well. So always have a tea and cake, and if you can do. And for the next one I'm running, I'm actually teaming up with an existing coffee morning so that that element is covered by somebody else, but is still kind of there for others to enjoy. And then, yeah, the big one, which I've already mentioned, is getting rid of the leftover items. So just making sure you've got a plan in place for that. And then also kind of thinking about how you're going to record how many people came and how many things you think swapped. The kind of scale that mine are, so just kind of going back to that, I've got absolutely, there's no way I can weigh that. There's no way I can count the items. So I kind of take a look at kind of the donations as they're coming in. How many black bin liners do I think has gone? It's a little bit of a rough estimate, but that's how I'm kind of doing it on this scale. And then kind of things that I'd like to do in the future is think a bit more about education. So maybe kind of making some displays about these are great fun. They are like reusing, saving money, but actually, why are we doing this in terms of the environmental impact? So thinking about maybe kind of making some boards or some banners, which can kind of educate people about fast fashion and how we can reduce, reuse, recycle, buy better, that kind of thing. But they're super fun to run. By organising it, you get some nice things to wear as well for yourself. And in mine, we also get a lot of children's items, which have been really handy as I've got 2 young children, and just having to spend less money on clothing them is really helpful. I think everyone enjoys it. So yes, thank you.
That's brilliant, Laura. Thanks so much. And really lovely to hear again, just a completely different way of doing it. So that's fantastic. And so next up is Zoe.
Thank you. My journey with clothes swap started with just swapping with friends, really. We'd meet at someone's house and bring some items and just tip them into a big pile in the middle and then have a rummage, which is really fun. And I thought, well, this would be a good thing to kind of open out to a wider audience. It kind of ticks the boxes in terms of our waste reduction strategy, getting people to think a bit more about the environment. And it's a good way for us to try and draw more people into some of the sustainable work that we're doing in Exmouth. So the clothes swaps have kind of increased in size and are probably closer to what Laura has just described now. A couple of weekends ago, we had one in the Salvation Army Hall, which is probably our biggest clothes swap to date. And it was great. It was great fun. It's hard work. And there's a photo of us there with the Exmouth Lions, my green team of volunteers and additional volunteers from the Salvation Army. So there were quite a crowd of us. And the Mushroom Food Network too. Craig from the Food Network joined us. So what I've learned is that I need a big team to come and help set up and kind of be there during the event, and especially to help me pack it all down again, because I don't have the luxury of being able to keep the rails up. It all needs to go away, and the hall needs to be restored to how it was before. Next slide. Yeah. So some of the things to think about, I find before an event is definitely getting the venue. So we started small. We started small in a gallery, and then we got a little bit bigger when we moved down to the Eco Hub on the seafront in Exmouth. And then we needed an even bigger venue because we were attracting a bigger audience. So it is worth thinking about where you're going to host it. And then think about additional activities. Like Laura said, do you want to offer refreshments? At this particular one, we decided that we would also do a kitchen utensils and cookery book swap. So the same principle applies, bring, clean, good condition items and swap them for other ones. And then think, do you need to borrow rails? Do you want to use rails? Do you need a screen for people to change behind? Or do you have a loo that people can get changed in? Do you have mirrors that people can have a look at what they're trying on? How many people do you need sort of at the beginning, during and afterwards? And then how are you going to publicize it? So we do a lot of social media, but then I also have help with giving posters out to shops and cafes. Most people are really happy to put a poster in the window to advertise the clothes swap, and word of mouth. And I've just started inviting different groups as well now, saying, would you like to come along? Would you like to get involved? Actually sending invitations has been quite successful. One thing I've also found is taking photographs before the event of some of the clothes that you already have, because we keep some clothes from one clothes swap to the next. We have a big sort out at the end. Some goes to charity shops and some of the stuff we keep. And so once it's all displayed, we kind of go around and take photographs of some of the different types of clothing, some of the labels, if we think we've got some cool brands, a variety of men, women's, children's, if that's what we've got, some cool shoes or accessories, and then post them out on our socials. And we either do that before the event or we try and do it during the event as well. So putting the time into getting set up really, really helps. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, and just to mention, we've got our own rails now as well, and we've got our rails packaged up nicely in recycled bouncy castle bags, which the Recycle Devon team put me onto. So if anyone is in the Exmouth area and wants to borrow rails, mirrors, and hangers, we've got plenty of those, and they're free to borrow if you want to pop in and get them. So on the day, lots and lots of time to set up. We didn't have the luxury of going into the Salvation Army Hall the night before, so we had to get in early to set up the rails and the tables, hanging up and folding all of the things that we already have from the last swap. So what we tend to do is get it out really quickly onto the hangers, and then once everything's up on rails, then decide how we're going to order it. If it's going to be size, colour, gender, we kind of have to make that decision a little bit on the fly. We encourage people to come a bit earlier for dropping off, usually about an hour at least before we're ready to open the doors for swapping. And then what we've got into the habit of doing is checking what people are actually dropping off, because we have had occasions where it looks as though someone's just sort of emptied their dirty clothes basket into a bag and brought it in. So what we tend to do is have two people on the sort of desk at the front, and they'll empty out the bag of clothes on the premise that, then that person gets their bag back so that they can come back later for some shopping. And then just politely say, actually, we don't really want sports bandages or tights or underwear. We can't really swap those. So we'll kind of give them back to the person who's trying to drop them off. If they don't have anything to swap, which often happens, especially if they've just popped in because they've seen the sign, then we say that's absolutely fine. You can make a pledge for the planet. And we've got lots of ideas of what kind of pledges you might like to make up on the wall. And if you want to make a donation, you can make a donation to whoever's hall we're hiring. So in this case, it was the Salvation Army, but also the Exmouth Lions. They were helping out. So you could make a donation to them. Or to the Mushroom Food Alliance. So they were making vegan pastries, which were absolutely delicious. At the end of the swap, we have a big workout of what to keep for the next swap, what to give to charity shops, and who's going to do that. We also have lots of advice. We had someone from Transition Exmouth a couple of weekends ago with lots of boards up explaining kind of why we're swapping, the benefits to the planet, and the fact that we're moving away from fast fashion, hopefully, and just also some volunteer forms to, if people like this and they want to get involved, then we'd love to have them on board. We need to make sure lots of people can help pack down, because that is a big job, taking everything off the hangers. One thing I've learned is to try and keep the hangers together, wrap them in elastic bands so that when you get them out the next time, they're not all tangled up, because that takes ages. And then we have started counting the amount of bags that we have left, but we actually are quite poor at really measuring how well we're doing with clothes swaps. We haven't really figured that out yet. So I've got a few ideas already, but yeah, we're not really weighing anything at the moment. And then last slide. So debriefing. We often have lots of great ideas after the swap and are talking about it on the day. And then a couple of weeks later, by the time we come around to do the next one, we've completely forgotten. So this time we decided that we'd have a debrief meeting and actually kind of capture some of the things that went well and then make some changes for the next one. And I think what we've learned is to do them less frequently. So to maybe do them once a quarter, sort of seasonally, but to go for a bigger venue, to offer refreshments, do the books and kitchen utensil swap as well. So we've got more stuff going on. But yeah, they're really good fun. They're hard work, but they are really good fun. And I also have the luxury of being able to take all the clothes left over back to the town hall, where I can hide them away in the basement. And that's all from me.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Zoe. That's great. Thank you very much for sharing. And last but by no means least, we have Jennifer.
Hi there. Well, thank you very much. So as you can see, it's been great that we've had lots of different swishing events, and it's great that we can offer kits for people to borrow. So we have six districts covered by the kits. We've got 7 kits out. Exeter and Cambridge are by far the busiest, so it'd be really nice if we could get some of the other ones used. All of the centres have different days and times available because staff aren't always there. So we do ask, as part of the booking process, which I'll come to in a bit, that a time and a day is made as well. We have the kits, which have 5 rails, which are all stored in these bags. And we have 2 mirrors. We have a large mirror and a tabletop. We have 2 bags of hangers that are about 200. They are predominantly adult ones, and there is a selection of sort of coat ones, trouser ones, and then sort of blouse ones. But we do have a few children's ones in there, but that is something that I would like to sort of look into more. And a jewellery holder, which tends to be a mug tree. And people can borrow the whole kit, or they can just borrow parts of the kit. And if they've got a very big event, they're welcome to borrow kits from different centres. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you are interested in a swishing event and you want to book a kit, so the best thing is to email me, or if you want to go through the Recycle Devon website, you can go to the reuse and then find the rewear section, and there'll be a contact under all the bit about swishing. The information I send out has, as I say, the booking form with the days and times. There is a generic risk assessment for the equipment, and then there's space for people to be able to complete that according to their venue and maybe their type of event. And then all we do ask is for a bit of feedback, which I know is really difficult. And I do ask for as much as possible, but I appreciate this isn't always easy to do. So even just the number of people, the number of volunteers that come, it just all really helps with reporting. So as I say, the booking is made, so it's about 15 minutes. This will help count all the bits and pieces to make sure everything is there, particularly when it comes back, because unfortunately sometimes bits of rails haven't come back, or a jewellery holder, so it's just really easy to know that it's all there when you take it out, and then it's all there when it comes back. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I also have set up the Recycle Devon Reuse Fund, and we support different groups over 2 rounds throughout the year. Could be for Repair Cafe or Library of Things, but we also have funded either venue hire and insurance for a clothes swap, or for groups actually buying their own equipment. And also, if you're interested, we have the Reuse Week in August, and I can support groups, again, with a contribution towards a swishing event for that. And that's actually the 8th to the 15th of August. I think that's pretty much it. So if I have not mentioned everything, then please do ask in the questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. That was really lovely. Thank you ever so much, and really helpful, hopefully, to lots of people on this call. Just for those of you in Somerset, there is some clothes rail that Somerset Council are also able to lend out. So if that's of interest, just get in touch with me. Thank you to all our speakers. Hopefully that's shown you such a range and different ways of doing this and different ways of approaching clothes swishes and clothes swaps, and hopefully provided you with some inspiration. So now it's I'd like to open it up to the floor. Has anybody got any questions? Laura, no, thank you. Well, I'm going to start off. Oh, go on. Who's that?
I couldn't work out to put my hand up on here.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to ask Helena, how did you decide on concentrating on 0 to 5? Was that just where you felt the biggest need was? Would you like to expand to older children, or is it just storage constraints?
We decided to start with that because it came out of the toddler group that we run at the church. It started with some people bringing in things that they just wanted to swap or leave out for anybody on a table from the toddler group. So we thought we'll do 0 to 5. It's manageable. I have since had people say to me, "Oh, we wish you could do bigger sizes. You could do older children. You could do this and that." We really haven't got room, so that we've stuck with 0 to 5, and it's very popular just for the first 5 years anyhow. So it's what we can manage.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thanks ever so much. Zoe, you had your hand up.
So we tend to have people come and bring a lot of stuff. I think they have a clear out and they think, oh, there's a clothes swap. I'm just going to go and, dump my stuff at the clothes swap. And so when they do that, I'll say, oh, you come back and come and do some swapping. They do, but I feel like sometimes it's just a bit of a sort of token gesture because actually they've offloaded all their charity shop stuff with us. So I was just wondering, Lucy, really about your ticketing system and if that might be a way to stop people doing that. I mean, sometimes they just give me clothes and say, "Oh, I can't come to the clothes swap, but here you are. Here are my clothes." So I say, then when I say, "Oh, actually, the idea is to swap. I don't really want to take them," then they look a bit offended.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because we never have that problem. We only ever have up to 5 items brought at a time. So, and I think because it's a social event as well, and people are staying and swapping between them, and it's often people they know or acquaintances, people they've seen around town. I think it's a slightly different nuance there than it just being a dumping ground. And something I noticed at the Totnes one that we were all at was that there were people there bringing massive bags of stuff, and it did become a place to just give stuff to rather than it being a swap. So I think our counting items in and out kind of does help reduce, and it does reduce the amount of stuff we have left over at the end of things as well.
I'm just wondering about how much time that would take to kind of to organise or to do the ticketing. I guess it wouldn't make that much difference, would it? I guess we could try that next time anyway.
Do people buy tickets in advance or on the door?
We've trialed both, and I think the last one we ran, we didn't sell them in advance. It was just pay on the door. And I think sometimes it's helpful to know how many people you've got coming for the night. And if they paid in advance, they've made a definite purchase commitment. Whereas leaving it to on the door purchases of tickets, I think we're at the whim of people's availability sometimes. So yeah, I think it would depend. Yeah, in the future, I suspect we will go back to selling in advance just so we know how many people will be attending. Yeah.
Brilliant. Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Sorry,
of course.
Lucy again. Hi, Lucy. Sorry. Just I have 2 questions actually. First of all, how many people do you have setting up and all that? How many people have you got working on it? And the other question was about just how does the raffle ticket thing work? Do you literally just pull off 5 raffle tickets and then they give them to you and you say, okay, well, that's 5 items to take back? There's nothing to do with the numbers on the raffle tickets, I assume.
Yeah, so we have raffle tickets for our repair cafe because we run a raffle as part of that. And so we've got some raffle books basically. And so it's something we've already got, so that's just why we use them. But yeah, we're just counting them off basically. So you could use anything with numbers on, but it just helps us keep track of how many items are coming in, which helps us then with the reporting how many. I think I worked out the average weight of an item of clothing was 200 grams. So then I can produce data about kind of how much in weight. Though I am thinking, having seen some of those systems set up with weighing scales, maybe we could just have a weigh-in policy as well. So we just set up a balance on the way in, and we can work out weights as well. And you asked about how many people I've got. So behind the bar, there tends to be a team of about 4. So the PTFA had 4 people running the bar. And on the day, it's varied somewhere between 2 and 8 helpers, I would say. Again, the last one, we were a little bit light on people. I did end up having to put all the rails up, like collect the rails, then go and put them up myself. And then kicked myself for not grabbing someone else to help me. But it's taking down that often takes the time, and as you say, as other people have said, putting the stuff into bags to then remove from the venue. So make sure you've got lots of people at the end. Again, if you've got gin, it's also quite difficult to do that after a couple of glasses of gin.
Thanks, Lucy. Any other questions? Yes, Helen.
I'm just thinking, as we've got Nick in the room, I'm just wondering whether any of you have focused on men's clothing for your sales, or whether there's much interest in people that come in donating, swapping men's clothes.
I often definitely always have a men's table. It's definitely not as much as the women's, and certainly there's barely ever any men who come to the clothes swaps that I run unless they're dragged along by their families. But stuff does go, and I think actually sometimes you can see the biggest change in a man because he's dragged along by someone else. He doesn't really get a clothes swap. And actually, then you see him browsing and they're like, oh, actually, I like this. And then I get quite a lot of joy in then seeing them take something away when they were reluctant to engage in it. So it can be really nice.
Any other speakers with experience on that?
Yeah, so we had a pair of men, a father and a son, turn up to our last but one clothes swap, and we've never had any men until that penultimate one. And they were a bit confused that there was no other men there. They're just new to Bradninch, and I thought it was a brilliant idea and loved gin, so they thought, why not, and come out for a night out. But I think someone went home to get some of their partner's clothes to put on the rail so that they had something to look through. But yeah, it is quite female dominated. I was considering listening to some of you tonight, actually. Maybe I should invite the football club and the cricket club and directly invite them to come along and have a swap.
Men's
And
shed as well.
Yeah, something.
I think that will make a difference, because when we asked the Exmouth Lions to help this event, help us get set up, then they posted that to all their members, and the Budley Lions, and that's quite an even mix of ratio of sort of men to women. And so most of the people who came to set up though were male lions, and they were like, wow, this is great, this is really good, we haven't seen anything like this before. So they're coming back next time, and they're interested, they're invested now. And I think we have seen more and more men coming off, of their own accord to come and bring and swap clothes. So it is starting to kind of open out, definitely. Yeah. We had a good whole rail of men's clothes and a table a couple of weeks ago, which is probably the most we've had. And there was some really, really nice stuff there as well.
Right.
Yes, Emma.
I just wondered if you ever see many young people, or if you thought about how might be a good way to engage some young people in clothes swapping.
We had quite a lot of young people this time. They all seemed completely amazed that it was free, that they could just walk into this event and get free clothes. They thought it was brilliant, and quite a few of them decided that they're going to try and set that up with friends and try and get that going at their schools or colleges, which was really good. Again, it just takes ages. A year ago, maybe one or two, and it gains more and more traction. It takes quite a long time, but I think it is working. We had quite a few young ambassadors, and then you just take lots of photos of them as well and put them out on social media. It's like, oh, look who came to our event. You can come here too.
We
Yeah,
had
I
Molly
guess.
early. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, we get quite a few young people. I guess in my kind of networks, I've got a lot of parents with teenage children. And certainly quite often at the clothes swaps have a lot of smaller sizes because everyone my age is getting probably bigger. So we always have lots of size 8 and 10s, that actually there's a lot of quite cool things for youngsters to choose from. And I'm also working with Sustainable Tiverton's youth branch, which is called SASSY, which is a group for kind of 11 to 25-year-olds about, and to work with them to put on a specific youth event clothes swap that is only for youth, and then working with local schools to advertise that. So kind of similar to what others were saying in terms of like inviting a specific group and then creating this whole event for that group. So we'll see how that goes. I think that's June or July. We're planning that one.
Sounds amazing. Thanks, Laura. Sorry, Molly, I'm going to pick on you because you came on earlier and you're from Exeter College. So I was just wondering if you were doing something for specific for Exeter College. If you don't want to talk, it's fine. I'm not going to force you.
If she's not there, I do know Molly as well. She also does some little bits of bobs with Sustainable Hatherley. I know she was in her car. So that's why I've invited her along tonight, because she is very talented with the sewing machine and with upcycling clothes. But I don't know what she's doing with Exeter Uni. So sorry, Molly, for jumping in there.
No, that's fine.
I want to get her involved.
I've put her on the spot and it's mean.
I was going to ask the same thing as Molly, so
Poor
we're
Molly.
equally mean. Yeah. And Helena, I think, wanted to comment.
Thanks. I just wanted to point out that what we're doing is generally attracts more younger people anyway, because they're the ones with the young children. But it's so worth doing, because a lot of the parents that we have, they're not earning a lot, especially if they're home with the children or single parent families. It's saving them so much money in buying baby clothes. And I would encourage people to do it. It's really well worth it. As far as dads are concerned, we've had some nice stories with dads who've been dispatched along to us because the babies turned up too early and we haven't got anything ready. And so they've been sent along to be kitted out by us because they've heard about us. So that's nice. Thank you.
That's really lovely. Does anybody like monitor on the day to find out, what people enjoyed about the event, what people would like to see more of, or is it just so busy that no one quite gets around to that bit?
I suppose
Sorry, go on, Lucy.
we do take verbal feedback on the day and the night, and kind of listen to comments about what we could improve. So it does tend to be quite busy, and you get caught up in it rather than and because of the nature of it, it's not something we would kind of send people home with a form to fill in. But we get nice comments, and it because we've been running them for so long now in Bradninch, we do have quite a lot of kind of feedback about how
Repeat users.
Yeah.
Sorry, someone else was coming in then.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so what I do at Kinsphere is have kind of bits of paper out, which I've asked for feedback, and then ask what else you'd like to see happening in the community. And then I also have another sheet for people who want to kind of help volunteer at the next one. Always looking out for volunteers or getting new people involved. So I kind of have those out, but I don't have time on the day to kind of encourage people to do it. So it's kind of, if they want to give feedback or suggest something, they will, but certainly not everyone does it. Just, yeah, I'm kind of rushing around like a mad chicken on the event day.
Brilliant, thank you. Yes, Claire.
All I was going to say is that I think what I'm taking away from this, which is really useful, is that there's definitely not one size fits all. You go with your community, you go with what you think is going to work within your team. So I'm actually quite excited to get something off the ground in Cholmondeley, because I think it's the sort of event that will go down really well here.
Fantastic. That's exactly the purpose of today, is that there is, whatever, 101 ways to skin a cat or whatever it is. That's such a horrible expression. Like, have your guts for garters. Oh. But yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Yes, Lucy.
I was going to say, it's been really lovely to hear about lots of other people's different models. When you're just running them, you think, oh, this is this is the only way to do it. So it's been really lovely to hear. And I've got some ideas, so inviting some of those men's clubs to see if we can get some men, talking to our baby groups and seeing if they want to run a swap. And obviously we have lots of babies in Bradninch, so potentially there'll be clothes that they can swap to. And that information and education, I hadn't really thought about having that on the side, but we've got display boards that we take to events to show what else Sustainable Bradninch is doing. So why not put those up at the clothes swap, but then have some textile related information? Because I hadn't even considered that. I think I was thinking about the social rather than the educational, but you can do both.
Right, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. I think, unless there's anything else, I think we're going to have the joy of finishing a little bit early this evening and give people a little bit of your evening back. Before we finish, however, Helen is going to put up a poll for feedback for tonight's event. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a few seconds to fill that out, that would be really, really helpful. At the same time, I will tell you about a few upcoming events that are happening. Next Wednesday, the Waste Education team at Resource Futures is supporting Devon County Council with some teacher training for climate actions in schools. So if any teachers are here tonight, please sign up to that. On the 4th of June, CAG Somerset and CAG Devon are running a small session on how to secure small funding pots and about funding in your very local area. So it's another collaborate. We'll send the details around with the follow-up with the slides after tonight's session. We're also going to do a session in June again together about how community groups can work with their local schools. And then on the 17th of June, CAG Somerset has some one-to-one bookable sessions that are available. On the 15th of July, CAG Somerset also has some first aid at work training that's happening in Street, which again is bookable and free for members. And then we also have some food hygiene funded places available. So that's just some of the things that are coming up. So thank you so much for coming along tonight. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for taking part. And again, a massive thank you to our speakers. It was so great to hear from you. And as Lucy just so brilliantly surmised, so fantastic to hear all the different ways of doing it. Massive thanks to my colleague Laura, who's put a lot of work in organising this event. So thank you very much to Laura. Really lovely to see you all. Thank you very much.